Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on the Noon News. I'm Diane Parker. Miller has the statewide forecast, plus some Americans could be getting free internet soon. And inflation rates are at a 40-year high, the latest as President Biden addresses the nation. The president is expected to use a speech today to lay out what he's doing to lower costs for American families. Inflation has driven up prices more than 8%, with gas hitting a new record overnight, according to AAA. As CBS's Nancy Cortez reports, inflation is becoming a key political issue leading up to the midterm elections.
Gas prices shot up 17 cents this past week. The relentless price surge could prove costly in November's midterm elections.
Certain purchases I used to make, I just can't make them purchases no more.
The rising cost of food has pushed budgets to the brink.
From coast to coast, local airwaves are filled with stories about the rising cost of everything.
Soaring housing prices are a sore subject for many in South Florida.
Gas prices in Pennsylvania soar to a new record.
The Eastern Plains is filled with farmers feeling the pinch in this tight economy.
The issue is now dominating President Biden's agenda.
My top priority is fighting inflation and lowering prices for families.
The president is taking some action, releasing 1 million barrels per day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to bring down gas prices, asking Congress to pass clean energy and vehicle tax credits, and boosting the fuel economy standards for cars and trucks.
The typical American is spending $100 more a month on gasoline now than they were a year ago.
Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi says inflation has long-term effects, forcing families to save less for education, retirement, or to buy a home.
I do think the pandemic will fade, and I think of the worst of the fallout of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on our economies behind us. But it's not going to get back to anything we consider to be normal very quickly.
This has already become a top campaign issue. We are seeing ads about inflation in loads of congressional races. And that's why everyone is going to be watching so closely tomorrow when new numbers are released that economists predict could indicate a slight slowing in inflation over the past month. Nancy Cortez, CBS News, the White House.
It appears the nationwide baby formula shortage is only getting worse. A total of 26 states, including Montana, have out-of-stock rates of 40 to 50%. Even if families find formula, it's costing them an arm and a leg. One mom says she paid $300 for 3 weeks of ready-to-feed formula on Amazon. Manufacturers are ramping up production, but it's still not clear when shortages will ease. Yesterday, across the country and here in Montana, many child care workers went on strike. It's called A Day Without Child Care, and it's designed to inconvenience parents in an effort to bring awareness to the struggling industry. Movement organizers say the low wages of child care providers is a concern. They'd like to create an equitable child care system built on racial justice and create affordable child care for all families. Electric companies are warning about potential power outages across the country. Operators of electric grids in states like Indiana, Texas, and California all say that power generation is struggling to keep up with demand. That could lead to rolling blackouts during peak summer months in states like California. Drought, extreme heat, and wildfires are the biggest threats to the power grid. Meanwhile, people in parts of Texas are already experiencing blackouts. Across Europe, support for Ukraine is strong. Icons like the Eiffel Tower and the Brandenburg Gate lit in blue and yellow, the colors of the Ukrainian flag. And at the White House, President Biden signed a bill designed to expedite support for Ukraine with the World War II-era lending lease program. It does allow the U.S. to send military equipment to Ukrainian soldiers a lot quicker. And that's today's Leading Look.
Turning out to be a pretty decent Tuesday for a good portion of the region, seeing some clouds increase as we go along today. Temperature-wise, we'll be in the 50s on the western side of Montana and into the central parts and eastern parts, rather. We could see highs in the 50s and 60s, even some 40s down in southwest Montana. We'll go 57 today in Missoula, 56 in Helena. How about 48 though in Dillon? A little colder there in Butte, sitting at 45 for the high today. Warmer in Billings, up to 61. We'll go 68 in Jordan, flirting with the 70s. How about that? Northern parts of Wyoming working at highs in the 50s and 60s. So high pressure trying to keep us dry today, but a spring storm system is on the way. What's that going to do to us? We'll have details coming up.
Meanwhile, President Biden is expanding high-speed internet access for millions of American households. It's part of the Affordable Connectivity Program created through the bipartisan infrastructure law. As CBS's Deborah Alfroni reports, it could bring the monthly internet bill right down to zero.
High-speed internet is not a luxury any longer. It's a necessity.
Bridging the digital divide. President Biden announced 20 internet providers have agreed to speed up internet service and lower costs for millions of Americans.
If you qualify, you're going to get a $30 credit per month toward your internet bill, which most folks will mean they get on for nothing.
The average cost of a broadband internet connection in the U.S. is $61.07 a month, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, among the highest in the world. Providers are now capping costs for qualifying Americans at $30 a month,
Bravo.
matching the internet service subsidy in the president's $1 trillion infrastructure law. The need for speed became even more apparent during the pandemic with remote learning and work from home.
I think it's vital at this point to make sure that all families have that option available to them so that we don't move backwards in terms of what we learned from COVID.
The president made expanding high-speed internet access in rural and in low-income areas a priority on the campaign trail and also in his push to get the infrastructure bill through Congress.
Many states and municipalities are working to expand access, which residents in rural areas liken to keeping the lights on.
In today's economy, this is just the same thing.
Those who are receiving SNAP benefits, Medicaid, or even Pell Grants may qualify. 11.5 million Americans have already signed up. Deborah Alfroni, CBS News, Washington.